This audio program by Radio AI is generated using artificial intelligence technologies. The voices you hear in this program are synthetic, and the thoughts they express are shaped through artificial intelligence-driven reasoning and iterative refinement.
Welcome to Radio AI. We love taking deep dives into topics that really spark curiosity, maybe challenge assumptions a bit. And today, we're tackling one that, well, it often gets a pretty passionate response. Should professional athletes be paid these, huge salaries? We're going to try and peel back the layers here. Explore the mix of market forces, cultural stories, and different ideas about value that shape how much athletes get paid. Okay, let's start with the economics, maybe.
Yeah.
Because from a purely market view, the reason for high salaries can seem pretty clear. Millions tune in.
Right.
Their performance drives ticket sales, broadcast money, merchandise, all that stuff. So the salaries in that light just reflect the huge value they generate. It feels almost direct cause and effect, right?
Yeah, but what's really fascinating, I think, is that it's more than just the audience demand itself. We're talking about truly massive broadcast licensing deals, complex sponsorship contracts, collective bargaining agreements too.
Okay.
And these things aren't just like organic market forces bubbling up. They're heavily shaped by institutional power.
How so?
Well, think about exclusive broadcast rights. They're often negotiated by just a handful of league executives and these huge media conglomerates. That creates a kind of artificial scarcity,
Yeah.
which bumps up the value of the televised games.
Right. Fewer places to watch means each one is worth more.
Exactly. And sometimes there are even special legal things like antitrust exemptions. These let leagues control the market more tightly, which can push star player salaries even higher because there's less competition for the talent.
Okay, so it's structural.
Very much so. And then you've got the player associations, the unions. They play a huge role. They negotiate things like salary caps, minimums, but also, crucially, the free agency rules. And that's what often sparks those big bidding wars for top players.
So it's less about just pure talent in a vacuum and more about the whole system built around showcasing that talent.
Pretty precise.
But then, that really makes you wonder, doesn't it? How does this compare to other professions that are incredibly skilled, maybe even irreplaceable?
Oh, it's a really stark contrast when you look at it. A really stark contrast. Like, consider a master artisan, someone making unique things that collectors worldwide want. They're rare skill. It commands high prices, sure.
Okay.
But then compare that to, say, a highly trained deep-sea engineer who's preventing some catastrophic oil rig failure.
Yeah.
Or a top surgeon doing incredibly complex, high-risk operations.
Oil work.
Absolutely vital. Huge stakes, incredible expertise. But their work is often, far from the public eye. And the economic systems we have just tend to limit their earnings compared to top athletes. Or think about essential work, really physically demanding stuff like seasonal farm labor. It's paid so little, often because there's a large supply of labor. It's kind of mind-boggling that a single star athlete might earn in 1 week what a skilled surgeon makes in a whole year.
Wow.
Or what a whole team of those farm laborers earns over several seasons. It just clearly shows how much visibility, bargaining power, and these market structures shape pay, not just skill or how rare it is.
Yeah, that visibility point seems key. It's almost enough to make you reconsider nagging your kid about practicing their sport, isn't it?
Well, maybe. But it does bring us to a really fundamental, maybe even moral question. If value is only measured by market demand, by how many people are watching or buying, well, then entertainment often overshadows contributions that might have subtler but maybe more profound benefits for society.
Right, like the surging example.
Exactly. There are philosophical ideas like the capability approach that challenge this purely market view. They ask, basically, should society's resources be used to help everyone develop their potential in lots of different areas? Not just funneling so much reward to a select few in entertainment.
Interesting.
And then you get different ethical viewpoints clashing, right? You have egalitarian ideas questioning such massive wealth concentration in entertainment. But then libertarian views might strongly argue that, no, free market deals are the fairest measure. Interfering just messes with incentives.
What about the argument you always hear, though? That athletes earn so much because their careers are so short.
Yeah.
That it's all front-loaded.
Yeah, that comes up a lot. And look, there's definitely some truth there. An athlete's peak performance window is short, no doubt.
Sure.
But it's not the whole story. For many elite athletes, maybe the top tier, Their post-career options are significant. Endorsements, moving into media, coaching, these can extend their earning potential well beyond their playing days. Though, of course, that's not guaranteed for every single player.
Right, not everyone gets a commentary gig.
Exactly. And besides, having physical limitations or demanding careers isn't unique to sports, is it? Many professions have demanding timelines or physical tolls.
So why is this debate just so persistent? Why can't we seem to settle it?
I think it's because we're fundamentally looking at it through two different lenses, and they don't quite align. One is purely economic. It's driven by scarcity, demand, market structures, the sort of cold, hard facts of how the money flows. But the other lens is normative. It's about our values, our sense of fairness, what we think society should prioritize. And those two things are often in tension.
So if we were to imagine ways to maybe bridge that gap or at least address the tension, what would that look like?
Well, you could imagine different mechanisms, couldn't you? Like perhaps a progressive levy on the very top athlete earnings. And the proceeds could be specifically directed towards, say, public arts funding or educational programs, broadening the benefit.
Interesting idea.
Or maybe a more structured revenue sharing model within the sports industry itself, between the really high revenue sports and the lower revenue ones, to support broader athletic development. Yeah. We could even look at a hypothetical case, right? Imagine a sports federation decided to pool, say, 5% of all earnings from its top athletes into a shared development fund. Maybe that leads to doubling youth participation, improving facilities across the board. Sounds great.
Yeah.
But the trade-off might be that some of those absolute top stars feel unfairly taxed. Maybe they leave for independent leagues that don't have that pool, and maybe the country's international dominance declines a bit.
Right, there's always a trade-off.
Always. It really highlights the core choice. Does a society value that absolute peak, the exhilarating spectacle of elite sport above all else? Or does it lean more towards quieter, maybe longer-term goods like broader knowledge, collective well-being, or widespread opportunity?
It seems like ultimately these huge athlete salaries are really just a very visible symptom, a symptom of deeper choices we make as a society about what and who we choose to celebrate, to sustain, and how we share the rewards. Thank you so much for joining us on Radio AI today, and for your time and attention. We really hope this deep dive gave you some new perspectives to think about. We would genuinely love to hear your thoughts or reflections down in the comments below. Hope to have you with us again on Radio AI. Until next time.